Did you know that in the 1950s, the US government conducted secret experiments on unsuspecting citizens using LSD, all in the name of research? It's chilling to think about the lengths they went to. Today, we're going to delve into 5 truly disturbing human experiments that actually took place, exposing the dark side of science. These experiments will leave you questioning the morality and ethics of those responsible. From mind control to obedience tests, we'll explore the shocking reality behind these twisted projects. From the get-go, it's essential to recognize that these experiments are a stark reminder of the importance of ethical boundaries in medical and scientific research. The consequences of these experiments still haunt us today, and it's crucial we acknowledge the harm caused to innocent people. Before we dive in, I want to highlight that you can wear your passion for history and ethics with our medical history-themed designs at histoedutainment.com. Each piece reflects the darker side of medical and scientific human experimentation and the lessons we've learned, sparking meaningful conversations wherever you go. Now, before we dive in, I want to warn you, the content of this video is not for the faint of heart. What you're about to hear is disturbing, and it may challenge your perspective on humanity. So, if you're ready, let's get started. The infamous Tuskegee Syphilis Study, conducted between 1932 and 1972, is a prime example of the devastating consequences of unethical medical research. In this study, hundreds of African American men in Macon County, Alabama, were misled about their health status to study the progression of untreated syphilis. The participants, who were mostly poor and uneducated, were never informed about the true nature of the study or their actual diagnosis. Instead, they were told they had bad blood and were given fake treatments, while in reality, they were being left to suffer the devastating effects of syphilis. As the study progressed, the men began to experience severe health problems, including blindness, insanity, and even death. Meanwhile, the researchers were simply observing the progression of the disease, with no intention of treating or curing them. It's even more shocking when you consider that, during this period, penicillin had already been proven to be an effective treatment for syphilis. However, the researchers deliberately chose not to provide the men with this life-saving treatment, allowing the disease to ravage their bodies. In 1972, a whistleblower exposed the study, and it was finally shut down. However, the damage had already been done, and the men's lives were forever changed. The Milgram Experiment, conducted in 1961, is another startling example of human obedience to authority. In this study, participants were instructed to administer electric shocks to another person, whom they believed was also participating in the experiment. The participants were told to increase the voltage level after each wrong answer, unaware that the person on the receiving end was an actor. The results were astounding. Despite hearing the actors' protests and cries of pain, a staggering 65% of participants continued to follow the researchers' instructions, even when the voltage levels reached extreme and dangerous levels. This experiment raises serious questions about our willingness to follow authority, even when it goes against our moral compass. It's a sobering reminder of the dangers of blind obedience and the importance of questioning authority. A Stanford prison experiment conducted in 1971 is often cited as one of the most disturbing psychological experiments in history. In this study, 24 male students were randomly assigned roles as either prisoners or guards in a simulated prison environment. The experiment was meant to last for 2 weeks, but it was shut down after just 6 days due to the extreme psychological effects it had on the participants. The guards began to exhibit sadistic behavior, while the prisoners became submissive and depressed. This experiment highlights the dangers of institutional influence and how quickly ordinary people can become perpetrators of abuse when given power and authority. It's a chilling reminder of the importance of accountability and oversight. During the Cold War era, the CIA conducted a top-secret program known as MKUltra, which involved mind control experiments on unwitting subjects using drugs and psychological manipulation. The program, which ran from the 1950s to the 1960s, aimed to develop techniques for controlling human behavior, including the creation of Manchurian candidates, people who could be programmed to carry out assassinations or other covert operations. The program involved the use of LSD, hypnosis, and other forms of psychological manipulation, often with devastating consequences for the participants. Many people suffered long-term psychological damage, and some even committed suicide. In the 1930s, a speech therapy experiment was conducted on 22 orphaned children, known as the Monster Study. The goal was to test the effectiveness of different speech therapy techniques, but the methods used were nothing short of emotional abuse. The children were divided into two groups. One received positive speech therapy, while the other received negative, condescending feedback. The results were devastating. The children in the negative group developed severe emotional trauma, including low self-esteem and social anxiety. This experiment raises serious questions about the ethics of experimenting on vulnerable populations, including children. It's a stark reminder of the importance of protecting human subjects from harm. Let's take a step back and reflect on what we've learned from these disturbing human experiments. Each one demonstrates the devastating consequences of unethical research, highlighting the importance of moral and ethical boundaries in scientific inquiry. These experiments serve as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and the importance of accountability in scientific research. It's our responsibility to ensure that we learn from these dark chapters in human history and strive to create a more ethical and compassionate world. What are your thoughts on these experiments? Share your reactions in the comments below and let's continue the conversation. If you want to explore more videos on related topics, be sure to check out our channel.